Another example of minimum wage hikes that are bad for business and bad for employees as well. Hey, I'm Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. Well, a story that made its way around the internet, a New York Post with maybe one of the original versions of the story, Red Robin. You know, the burger chain Red Robin, yum. Yeah, that place. They're looking at needing to save about $8 million because of a lot of these locations are seeing a hike in the minimum wage. Restaurant chain Red Robin has found itself losing money thanks to the West Coast love affair with hiking the minimum wage. As a result, the chain says they'll be eliminating the jobs of busboys across the 500 plus locations, essentially killing jobs those who wanted to see the minimum wage go up was supposed to help. According to the New York Post, Red Robin looking to save $8 million by axing the jobs of busboys from each of its 570 different restaurants. This comes on the heels of Red Robin eliminating its food expediters, which saved them $10 million in 2017. Quote, "We need to do that to address the labor increases we've seen," Red Robin's chief financial officer, Guy Constant, told attendees at a retail conference, according to the New York Post. Well, eliminating the jobs of busboys, existing staff will have to pick up the slack, of course. According to a statement, restaurant consultant John Gordon, this is going to put a damper on customer service. The sudden death in jobs should surprise no one. In December, a study was released by the Employment Policies Institute, this from redstate.com, that showed wage hikes in California to the desired $15 an hour would cost the state 400,000 jobs by 2020 due to businesses compensating for laying off employees. Sadly, Red Robin busboys and expediters were just some of the first on the list. This really shouldn't surprise anyone. What we have seen in other locations, including in Seattle, by the way, you can Google some of the stories that have come out of Seattle where people have lost their jobs. Restaurants have had to close. Why? Because of the hike in the minimum wage. People cannot afford that. Also, you have in some states where you have servers making $15 an hour, and they're not getting tips anymore. And it has actually come out to where they're losing money, where they used to make more money when they would flip tables faster, do good service, they would get high tips. Now that money is being lost because of the minimum wage at $15 an hour. Here's my idea. Instead of continuing to raise the minimum wage, let's get rid of the minimum wage altogether. Now, I know some of you just got really, really, really mad at me, but let's get rid of the minimum wage so that way, let's be honest, busboys, servers, $15 an hour. Come on. I worked as a waiter when I was going through high school, and $15 an hour to wait tables. I would much rather make what was it, like $3.15 an hour and then tips. Yeah, because I made pretty good money during that time, and you can make good money during that time. Now, I know some of you will say, Chad, a minimum wage, you can't afford to raise a family of 4 on the minimum wage. You're right, and you're not supposed to. The minimum wage is actually set out there for people who are going through jobs that, well, you know, maybe they're in high school, or it's a summer job, or it's a side job. It was never meant to raise a family of 4 on. Never, not at any time, was the minimum wage intended for one person to go out, make minimum wage, and raise a family of 4. It was never meant for that at all. By the way, to get rid of the minimum wage, it also makes sense because the federal minimum wage is actually lower than what many states have continued to go after. So this is a states issue, or it's becoming a states issue, where you have different states who are imposing a new minimum wage. Now, many of those states are actually seeing businesses hurting because they have raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, or maybe on the road to $15 an hour, and they're at about $12, $13 an hour. Just wait till it does hit $15 an hour, and you will see more and more businesses close and more people get laid off. Another reason to get rid of the minimum wage and to really get rid of the minimum wage all over, but you know, hey, I understand states' rights. If a state wants to have a $15 an hour minimum wage, go ahead, that's your right as a state to do so, but get ready for businesses to close. But another reason to get rid of this is it just makes sense. It doesn't, you know, this will free up businesses. This will free up businesses from a useless regulation. But also when it does come to these businesses that are having to get rid of certain positions like busboys and food expediters. I guess those are the food runners. They call them food expediters. Maybe it sounds better. I don't know. But if you're at Red Robin, you're working at Red Robin now, and you're in one of these places that got a $15 an hour minimum wage, maybe you're okay with it because you're like, well, hey, I guess I'll pick up the extra slack. That's wonderful. I'll bus tables, and I'll run out my own food, and I'll wait on a table. But a lot of waiters don't like doing that. A lot of people who serve food don't like doing that. They don't like to bus their own tables. And by the way, in other states where they don't have an increase of $15 an hour, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have upset employees because of the ramifications in these liberal states that they've had to get rid of busboys and food expediters throughout the entire company. Now you're having people in other states, like here in Texas, you're going to have those servers who are going to have to deal with the repercussions, and they're not going to be making that $15 an hour. I say get rid of the minimum wage altogether on the federal level. Let the states decide what they want to do. On a even better level, let businesses decide what they want their minimum wage to be. Allow competition. Maybe a business does want to pay their employees $15 an hour. Maybe a restaurant does want to pay their employees $15 an hour. Maybe the other one wants to say, you know what, we'll pay you $5 an hour plus tips. Which one would you rather take? I think a lot of waiters would say, I'll take the one that pays $5 an hour plus tips. I'll go to that job instead of the $15 an hour where no one's coming in because they've had to raise prices on the menu, on the drinks, everything in order to pay for that salary. Get rid of the minimum wage, and hiking a minimum wage to $15 an hour is just stupid. It's killing jobs. It's hurting business. Stop with the madness. Get back to work. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time. News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 a.m. KFYO. Have a great day.